He has always said, and I agree with this, that when people call you a Nazi or people call you some kind of, oh, you're a neo-Nazi, you're a race, or whatever. When people try to call you shit to dismiss your whiteness whenever you're like expressing an opinion, and I always agreed with them on this. When somebody goes, oh, you're a Nazi, so you know what? Your opinion's invalid. You need to create fear of people calling you that word. And AP had a great idea, which is you should react the same way when people call you the N-word as when black people are called the other N-word. Lose your fucking mind. Do you know why? Do you think that people don't say racist shit or whatever as much? Do you think that people are afraid to say shit as much as they used to be because of like Antifa or like cancel culture or the woke mob? None of us are actually scared of the woke mob. People don't drop N-bombs all willy-nilly nowadays because it's kind of been established that if you do that, you're probably going to get fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, you can have a dislocated jaw and a broken orbital bone and a huge hospital bill, and guess what? Nobody's going to do anything about it. But that has, in turn, led to a decrease in the usage of the word. And I'm telling you, if white people, if conservatives, if anyone, honestly, not even forget about, like, that's what I was saying. AP always had a great idea, but it was a nugget of a great idea. I want to take AP's good idea and refine it into an amazing idea. What if we just brought back smacking people in the goddamn face when they're acting out of turn? What's wrong with that? I'm not advocating even, like, because, what are you just going to go around and smack? I'm not saying smack people that are kind of acting obnoxious or smacking people who are impolite to women or people of color. I'm not saying that. I'm talking about when somebody starts acting a fool in a train and shoving and hitting people and getting out of control, and everyone stands there like, shit. When there's a real bully situation going on. When somebody is physically imposing over people, nobody's doing anything about it. It's just some black chick that's like, fuck you, motherfucker, and starts hitting people with a shoe, and it's like... By the way, this isn't... I want to point something out, because I think some of you are also interpreting what I'm saying as some kind of racial thing. I'm not talking about when black people act out of control. I'm talking about when people act out of control, period. Just a little bit more of community self-policing. I'm not some of you are already mentally internalizing this as a racial thing that I'm talking about, because the woman in this case is black. But we've watched plenty of videos of white women acting just as obnoxiously. Women in general, because women... let me see if I can find the clip that actually summarizes it.
We're done for. Everyone get out.
Fuck, man. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find that, because I'm sure it's not, like, posted as a highlight clip on the internet. Oh, that's why I was doing the wrong one. Let me see. That's not it. This is it. Oh, it is up.
Hey, Audi, sit down.
Generation Kill.
Sit down. Chill. Chill.
Man, this brings me back to my days as a repo man in L.A., dog, you know what I'm saying? Women are always the fiercest. You always gotta look out for them. Doesn't matter if it's a black bitch from South Central or some rich white bitch from Beverly Hills. Don't matter if you got a gun or whatever. They'll come after you, screaming. Like women think they're protected.
So that was fuck, man, the dude what's his face? The dude from Generation Kill, the Hispanic one. Aspara, thank you. That was one of my favorite scenes in that show because he's right. Because he had a bunch of lessons that he kept telling guys about his years as a repo man, and I'm like, you probably learned some wild shit being a repo man. That was one of the most like, he's right. And it's in a scene when they're like taking over an Iraqi village, and it's the women shoving back and fighting them and stuff, and he's like, because they think, you know what I mean? Because they think they're fucking, like, it's a certain thing when sometimes, and by the way, somebody said men hit back wave. Look, I'm not saying. We watched the video the other day of the black guy that came in and knocked out that fucking chick, punched her right in her fucking face. She didn't even do anything. And look, man, I love watching people get their comeuppance. If some white bitch got punched in the face for being too familiar or pushing the limit with somebody, I would laugh. I would laugh. But this lady didn't even do anything. She said something about hold your horses or so, or be paid, like, you know, whatever. Some comment about this black guy shoving his way into a train and being in a rush. And she just said something like, you know, dude, calm down, whatever. And this dude just levels her with a punch, right? And then everyone just stands there. Everyone just stands there. So it's not even a man-woman thing. It's not a black-white thing, but it's like, this is why I always tell Royce on the show sometimes, where you go, look, even if you're not a tough guy, right? Oh, chill pill, that's what it was. She said, take a chill pill. And he leveled her face with a punch. It's like, what the fuck? Look, I hate white women too, but like, maybe she's right. Maybe, I don't want to say it because you're going to hit me too. I think she's onto something. Maybe you should take a chill pill. You know what I mean? Because you just punched a woman for suggesting you take a chill pill. I'm thinking maybe you need a fistful of chill pills. I'm thinking you probably need a 30-day prescription for chill pills. If that's your reaction to that. It wasn't like she said, don't shove me, you fucking beep. Like, it wasn't like she said the N-word and he hit her. No, she just was like, dude, take a chill pill. By the way, on Twitch, somebody's pointing out there that her boyfriend didn't even do anything. And that's my thing, man. And I joke with Royce all the time on the air, right? Where it's like, all right. Justice is served when enough people, like, I believe in community justice, community policing. I believe in, you know, look, I believe in stories in history where, like, the guy raped his kid and he like, got away with it or whatever, and he shot him, and then he walked. Like, stories of guys that beat a guy to death because they found out they raped their kid or whatever, and the whole town's like, yeah, I'm okay with it. Like, there's sometimes community justice works. Sometimes people take advantage of that and they get bad, whatever, but I do think a little community policing happens. And the fact that nobody did anything to defend that woman. And look, I'm no simp. I've watched so many videos of dudes knocking out chicks and laughed hysterically because, I mean, we've all seen videos where some guy is going out of his way to not fucking, you know, I've been in situations, a lot of guys have been in situations like that. I've had drunken girlfriends like attack me, you know, and it's kind of half-hearted and they're not trying to kill you, but they are trying to hit you and you got to grab their wrists and wrestle around with them and shit, right? But most guys in that situation are like, I don't want to hit you back. Like, it's not like when a guy hits you and then, you know, start fighting. It's like usually you're like just trying to go like, dude, chill. You know what I mean? But like, just fucking nobody did anything when this guy punched her in the face. And it's like, the fact that this is what I was saying about what I joke with Royce. It's like if I'm with Royce somewhere and that happened, my thing is I would just look at him and he'd look at me and we'd be like, there's two of us. You want to hit it? Let's go. And like, and what people don't, I think, understand is like there's a lot of cowards out there. And I don't consider myself brave. I'm a coward too. But there's being cowardly is a spectrum like autism, right? You know, I wouldn't be the first guy to run into it. If I saw, let's say, a car flipped over with like a kid in it and it was on fire, yeah, I'm the kind of guy that would stop my car and get out. But I'm also the kind of guy that if I see somebody else taking care of it, I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's great. You go ahead, man. I got more faith. I got more faith in most other people than I do myself. So I wouldn't be the first guy to charge into a battle. But I think what people think is people think that nobody's going to do anything the whole time. But once one or two guys really step up, like the real heroes, and go, nah, fuck that, then you would, like, other people would step in. I don't know, what a weird fucking comment. But yeah, like, I think people underestimate sometimes. Let's say some guy pulls a gun on a fucking plane or a train or something, right? And he's gonna go ape shit. And yeah, of course, look, most of us don't. Like, it's typical to say most of us just don't want to be the first guy. Because the first guy's probably dead. You know, so there is that layer where you go, ah, shit, man, do I want to be? Because everyone knows the first guy going in is the fucking, that's probably going to start getting his ass beat, at least for a minute. You maybe get his throat slit if it's an Arab guy with a box cutter. You got to be, you know what I mean? So it's like, but it's like if there's more, like once one or two guys step in, I think more people will start. You know, human beings are very like, I just need to know who's going to win. And then once the tide changes, I'll jump on. Yeah, they're cowards, but they'll jump in once, time is. By the way, good story. Jay Leezy says, I was almost killed one time for trying to stop a domestic situation. I'm 43. Now I'll just call the cops. Jay Leezy, I got knocked almost the fuck out. And I mean, this was one of those. I think he punched me twice. But I don't think the second it was like it was like when somebody does like a tap and then a real punch. Dude, same thing. This was when I was a kid. I think I was maybe 14, maybe 13 even. And I was at Qzar in Sayville where we used to run band night with an old, like, one of my old buddies or whatever. One of the guys that got me into radio growing up. And I would help out at these local band shows. Whatever. It was just one of those hangout. But they had Qzar, which is the laser tag place, and then the skating rink that was over there too. I wish I could remember the name of it now because it's like right there. It's in my soul, but I can't remember the name of it. But the skating rink was where we always went on like Fridays, and it was wild. It was like everyone went there. And then there was Qzar would have the band night thing. So we were there one night, and it was on a band night. It was a Qzar night. So on the Qzar band night, sometimes it'd be on Sunday, sometimes it'd be on Monday. It was on Mondays. The skating rink would usually close early. So there was like this part of the parking lot that was sort of just, derelict and dead because it was in a flea market parking lot. So the flea market would close too, and it was just a little shady part of town on the highway. And I saw this guy one time, and they were older than me. They weren't like adult old, but they were like probably 18, 19 old. And I was like 13, 14. And I saw this chick, and this dude was fucking, he wasn't wailing on her or anything, right? But they were yelling or whatever, and I saw him smack her. And he was just grabbing her, and he was just yelling, and this girl was crying or whatever. And I wasn't even close to them. I had to be like, I would say they were at near one security light in the parking lot, and I was all the way by the next security light over. But I just yelled out something like, "Yeah, hey!" And like the guy looked at me, and I was like, "Yo, stop hitting her, man!" And like this dude started running towards me. like the T-1000. Like, it was, dude, I mean, this is what, fucking 20-something years ago. And it's like, I can't remember the names of a girlfriend. There's girlfriends I've had, I can't remember their names. There's so many pieces of my life that are missing, but I'll never forget this guy running at me. And it was a T-1000. I remember, because I remember the next day being like, that was like he started running, but it was like a slow wind up. You know what I mean? It was one of those where he started running and it didn't look too fast, but then it was like the way a car accelerates, and I was like, oh God. I was like, started running towards Qzar to just get the fuck away. Because, like, it was older kids that I was hanging out with that I was helping run band shows. So I'm like, I gotta go get to the 17 and 18-year-olds. You know what I mean? This guy finally caught up with me, whatever. And he grabbed me, and I, like, turned around, and dude, this is kind of pathetic. I turned around because he grabbed me, and he, like, ripped me so I couldn't run anymore. And then I just turned around and went like this. Again, I was a kid. This was really young, like, I grew up in mostly, like, private school. Like, I went 4th to 7th grade to private school, and then I went to Patchogue Medford, which was a very white school. So it wasn't until high school that I learned how to not be a total faggot. But, man, he grabbed me, and I was like, and he, like, ripped me around. I was just like, nah. And then it was just bap, bap. It was like this, it was very, like, quick. It was just boom, boom. And I was like, and I didn't get knocked out. God damn, bro, I was just out of it. And I was like, yeah, I will never. And I've had, like, family things and stuff with females where you have to go and intervene and stuff, maybe with some boyfriends or husbands. Like, always as a group. Like, you can't, like, I learned the same life lesson, and you'll learn that in your adult life, too. And then you learn it in your adult life when you get in, even if you get involved socially in a situation where, let's say, you know, there's abuse going on or whatever. I totally agree, by the way, that private schools fuck you up socially. I agree. Unless you're going to go to, like, Skull and Bones private school, you know, and you'll always have armed security. But, like a Mustang Sally. Yeah, so I've learned, even in social situations, once you start taking a side or getting involved or doing any of that kind of, you know, calling out, like, domestic abuse or, like, just, dude, romantic entanglements are extremely complicated between two people. Even the simplest ones in the world are super complicated. Oh, God, this is, like, really just, all right, we heard you, dude. Getting involved with them in any, it's very rare that you will involve yourself in some domestic dispute, even if it's not violent. I'm not even talking about violent ones. Just people that break up, or you pick a friend, or you know what I mean? There's all that kind of shit where you get involved. If you're not Switzerland, it always comes back to fuck you. I've told the story of the friend of mine that went to jail. I was friends with the girl in the situation, and there was a domestic violence situation that, like, the neighbors called, and I guess he got seen hitting her in the streets, but, like, he was, like, out of his mind on drugs and alcohol. And I even to this day, I know this guy's not that kind of guy. He was really fucked up. He was borderline OD fucked up, and he hit her and whatever. I didn't want to get involved. I knew him from the streets in Ybor, and I knew her from work and stuff, and it was just that kind of thing. They wanted to both involve me, and I didn't want to get involved, you know. I dropped my Amazing Blue Dream CBDX cart, CBDX.com, promo code ROTC. So then, like, she was trying to get me to contact him, and he was trying to get me to talk to her and send messages, and I'm like, I can't do that, because then I'm violating the domestic violence injunction. Like, and then I'll get arrested, and then I'll forever have a mugshot that, like, to this day, if you think about it, like, even these retards that stalk me on Reddit, and this guy in the chat that keeps yelling about censored words in my chat room, these little web sleuths that are trying to take down Mersh, would be milking that to this day, even though there'd be nothing to it. there would be 10-hour streams about how Mersh was violated a domestic violence injunction. And you know what? We haven't found any arrests for the original domestic violence, but I bet he was a domestic violence, and then and, you know, like, I think ahead of those things. So it's like one of those things where I go, yeah, I can't possibly get involved in this because then I'll get arrested. Like, I always think ahead where I go, I get arrested and the charge is going to be, whether I did the original DV, if there's a domestic violence injunction and I get caught passing notes back and forth like we're in 3rd grade, I'll get arrested, and every mugshot website in the world would arrest me for the charge of violation of a domestic violence injunction. Can you imagine trying to get pussy for the rest of your life? Think about how many times you thought you weren't going to get to fuck a bitch. You thought, like, man, this chick's not even interested in me, whatever, whatever. And then, like, the chick's like, hey, let's go back to your place. And you're like, oh, shit, I didn't even see that coming. So think about how many times, like, internet-savvy bitches would ever be on a date or a Tinder date with you or Google your name and then go, oh, boy. Because if you find somebody who was arrested for violating... Think about how your own brain works. Somebody keeps tagging me and going, Mersh, please, what is a Skull and Bones I didn't say Skull and Crossbones private school. I said, maybe I did say, but I meant Skull and Bones private school. Like, what is a Skull and Bones private school? Yale, sir. Yale would be a good one. Georgetown. That's what I mean. Like, Skull and Bones meaning George Bush and, like, all the little group that all the Yale, that whole Yale thing. Being closeted homosexual that does a massive amount of cocaine. The whole Yale thing. So that's all I'm saying is don't get involved, because that's what I always thought about. I'm like, imagine trying to get laid years from now, and some chick I'm on a date with is like, and she sees